What happens when a nation becomes completely captivated by one player? When a 22-year-old breaks every rule in the book and turns rugby's most established system upside down? The answer lies in Wellington, New Zealand, where South Africa's newest sensation didn't just play against the All Blacks, he demolished. But first, let's rewind, because this story doesn't start where you think it does. In professional rugby, the road to the top follows a sacred script. Years of development at elite schools, careful nurturing through provincial systems, and a path so predictable you could map it out before a player hits puberty. Schools like Power Boys, Paul Roos, and Grey College act as talent factories, feeding the Springbok machine with precision-engineered prospects. Then along comes Ethan Hooker, and suddenly that sacred script means nothing. Picture this. While rugby's golden boys were making headlines at Craven Week, Hooker was quietly building something different at Westville Boys High School. Not a traditional powerhouse, not part of the elite pipeline, just a proud rugby school where a lanky kid was learning to carve his own destiny. Here's where it gets interesting. Hooker wasn't even playing the position that would make him famous. Originally a number 8 forward, he was moved to the back line in what seemed like a routine positional switch. Nobody knew they'd just created rugby's next multi-position weapon. The transformation was about to begin. When Hooker joined the Sharks Academy in 2022, he arrived without fanfare, no media circus, no expert predictions, just another hopeful in a system designed to break dreams as often as it makes them. But something was different about this quiet kid from Durban. Within months, Hooker was leading the Sharks under-20 team to a national title. At 19 years old, he displayed leadership qualities that veterans twice his age struggled to match. But the real test was still ahead, breaking into a senior squad stacked with World Cup winners and international stars. Here's where Hooker's story takes an unexpected turn. When offered a chance on the wing instead of his preferred center position, most young specialists would have been frustrated. He smiled and said those 5 words that would define his rise: "Wherever the coach wants me." This wasn't just positive thinking. This was strategic brilliance disguised as humility. Playing wing and fullback gave Hooker something most centers never develop: a complete understanding of defensive systems, backfield coverage, and attacking patterns. Every game became a masterclass. Every position became another weapon in his arsenal. The 2023-2024 campaign wasn't just good for Hooker, it was a statement that shook South African rugby to its core. The numbers tell part of the story: 46 defenders beaten, 25 clean breaks, over 700 meters with ball in hand. But statistics can't capture the moments that left crowds speechless. Imagine a 21-year-old running through international defenders like they were training cones. Picture perfect timing, devastating power, and a rugby brain that seemed to process the game in slow motion while his body operated at lightning speed. Then came the European Challenge Cup final. The Sharks versus Gloucester. History on the line. Hooker wasn't just participating, he was integral to the Sharks becoming the first South African team ever to win a major European trophy. The unconventional kid from Westville was now a European champion, but South Africa was just beginning to realize what they had. June 2025. Rassie Erasmus, the mastermind behind Springbok's success, announced his squad. Buried in the list of names was Ethan Hooker, 22 years old, barely 2 full seasons of senior rugby, about to join the most exclusive club in South African sport. To casual observers, it seemed like a logical reward for outstanding form. To rugby insiders, it was seismic. The Springbok backline is a fortress guarded by World Cup legends. Breaking in requires years of patience, perfect timing, and often injuries to established stars. Hooker had done it through pure, undeniable ability. His test debut came against Italy, a gentle introduction to international rugby, but everyone knew the real examination was coming. New Zealand, the All Blacks, the ultimate measuring stick for any rugby player's ambition. July 12, 2025. Eden Park first, where Hooker got his first taste of Test rugby against New Zealand. A brief appearance, a glimpse of what might be possible, but the return fixture in Wellington would tell the real story. Starting against the All Blacks in their own backyard represents rugby's ultimate trial by fire. For a rookie making his first Test start, the pressure could crush careers before they began. The Springboks had lost the week before. Redemption was required. The final score: South Africa 43, New Zealand 10. A complete dismantling of rugby's most feared team. And at the center of it all, a 22-year-old wing who played like he'd been doing this for years. Hooker's display in Wellington wasn't just impressive, it was mesmerizing. His kick chase was relentless, hunting down every ball like his life depended on it. His aerial work was dominant, plucking high balls from the sky with the confidence of a seasoned veteran. But the moment that crystallized his arrival came deep in his own half. Receiving the ball under pressure, most players would kick for safety. Hooker saw something different. A gap, an opportunity, a chance to announce himself on rugby's biggest stage. Rugby followers who'd never heard his name 18 months earlier were suddenly planning their weekends around watching him play. Hooker hadn't just performed well, he'd captured the imagination of an entire nation. But what makes South Africa's obsession with Hooker so compelling isn't just his athletic ability, it's the story he represents. In a sport often defined by privilege and traditional pathways, here was a player who'd created his own route to the top.
His versatility, once questioned by critics, became his greatest asset. Coaches didn't ask where Hooker should play, they asked what the team needed and trusted him to deliver. Wing, center, fullback, it didn't matter. The kid from Westville had become rugby's ultimate problem solver.
Standing 1.94 meters tall and weighing 100 kilograms, Hooker possesses the rare combination of forwards power and backs pace. He's built like a line-out jumper, but moves like a sprinter. He hits contact like a loose forward, but steps like a fly half. This isn't accidental. Years of positional switches, of adapting to different roles and requirements, have created a player who embodies modern rugby's evolution in an era where specialization often rules. Hooker represents the power of adaptability. Veteran teammates consistently praise one quality above all others: Hooker's coachability. In professional sport, talent without teachability creates meteors, bright, brief, and ultimately forgettable. Hooker's hunger to learn, to improve, to add new tools to his already impressive arsenal suggests a career built for longevity. He studies opponents like a chess master, sees defensive patterns 3 phases ahead, and approaches every challenge as an opportunity to grow. When setbacks come, and they do for every professional athlete, Hooker treats them as data points, not verdicts. What's fascinating about South Africa's newest obsession is how he's built a life beyond rugby while excelling within it. Commerce studies alongside training camps, community work that goes deeper than photo opportunities, a grounding in real-world responsibilities that keeps success in perspective. This isn't accidental. Early in his professional journey, voices questioned whether Hooker's versatility would prevent him from mastering any single position. Could he be a jack of all trades but master of none? The Wellington performance answered those doubts emphatically. Modern rugby rewards players who can adapt, who can solve multiple tactical problems, who can step into different roles as game situations demand. Hooker's positional flexibility isn't a limitation, it's a superpower. Before conquering New Zealand, Hooker had already made his mark in Europe. The Challenge Cup triumph with the Sharks wasn't just about winning a trophy, it was about proving South African rugby could succeed in the Northern Hemisphere's most demanding competitions. Playing against different styles, adapting to varied conditions, succeeding under different pressure. These experiences prepared Hooker for the international stage in ways that purely domestic success never could. Hooker's decision to commit long-term to the Sharks, extending his contract when overseas opportunities beckoned, sent a clear message about loyalty and vision. In an era where player movement is constant, his stability with one franchise allowed him to develop relationships, understand systems, and build the consistency that Test rugby demands. That demolition of the All Blacks wasn't just a great individual performance, it was a cultural moment. For South African rugby followers, watching a 22-year-old rookie tear apart the world's most successful Test team represented everything they love about the game: unpredictability, power, skill, and the triumph of preparation over reputation. The try-assist run from deep in his own half became instant folklore, not because of its technical brilliance, though that was evident, but because of its audacity. In rugby's most pressurized environment, against the sport's most feared opponents, Hooker chose attack over safety. Perhaps most significantly, Hooker's rise represents a new model for South African rugby development. His path,
State school to academy to European success to test stardom, proves that talent and determination can still overcome traditional advantages. Young players across the country now have a different template to follow. The hooker model: work harder than everyone else, embrace versatility, stay hungry, and never accept that your background determines your ceiling. What separates good players from great ones isn't usually physical, it's mental. Hooker's ability to perform under pressure, to deliver when stakes are highest, to improve rather than shrink when spotlights brighten, suggests championship-level thinking. But based on everything we've witnessed, the rise through the ranks, the European triumph, the All Blacks demolition, betting against Ethan Hooker seems foolish. The obsession with Hooker goes beyond rugby. He represents possibility in its purest form. The idea that talent combined with relentless work can still overcome any system, any expectation, any limitation. In a sport often criticized for elitism. What happens when a nation becomes obsessed with a rugby player? They witness greatness in real time, and they realize they're watching the future of South African rugby take shape before their eyes. Ethan Hooker didn't just destroy the All Blacks in Wellington. He announced the arrival of a new era, and South Africa can't look away.